Welcome to the Explainer. You know, for literally thousands of years, more than 3 millennia actually, we humans have been on this relentless search for one thing: clarity. We're constantly trying to figure out how to focus our minds, right? How to find some inner peace and just navigate this incredibly complex thing called life. And across centuries and continents, people have leaned on all sorts of tools for this: philosophy, meditation, and of course, prayer. Well, today we're going to explore a piece of ancient text that was custom built for exactly this purpose. We're decoding the Gayatri Mantra. We'll unpack its history, its meaning, and why it's such a profound tool for cultivating wisdom. Okay, let's dive into this. When you think of a prayer, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's a request. We ask for health, maybe success at work, or even just a little bit of good luck on a big day. But when we look back at one of the most revered, ancient prayers in human history, we find something entirely different. It begs the question, what does humanity's oldest prayer actually ask for? The answer might completely change how you view the ultimate goal of these ancient sacred texts. Section 1. Origins of the Mantra. So there is a stark contrast here. On one hand, you have traditional prayers. These are often those transactional requests we just mentioned, asking for wealth, material success, or some external win. But on the other side, we have the Gayatri Mantra. And here's the kicker. It doesn't ask for a single material thing. No way. Instead, it asks exclusively for the illumination of the human mind. It's this universal plea for absolute clarity. It totally transcends the desire for physical stuff and focuses entirely on a quest for inner enlightenment. That's what makes it such a unique piece of spiritual literature. So, where does a profound text like this actually come from? Well, the Gayatri Mantra is found in the Rig Veda, which happens to be one of the oldest known sacred texts in all of human history. If you want to get specific, it's right there in Book 3, Hymn 62, verse 10. Now, traditionally, this powerful verse is attributed to a legendary Vedic seer named sage Vishvamitra. And the story goes that Vishvamitra had this profound realization. He realized that true, lasting power doesn't come from conquering the outside world or hitting arbitrary external milestones. Nope. True power comes entirely from inner wisdom and self-realization. And he preserved that exact realization in the form of this very verse. Section 2. Translating the Divine. Okay, here it is. This is the ancient Sanskrit phrasing. Traditionally, it's recited exactly like this: Om Bhur Bhuvaswa Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodayat. Now, even if you don't speak a single word of Sanskrit, I bet you can feel the rhythmic, highly structured nature of those specific syllables. It wasn't just written to be read quietly on a page. It was literally engineered to be chanted out loud. The cadence itself kind of demands a certain level of reverence, doesn't it? To really wrap our heads around what this chant is doing, we have to understand one central concept: savitur. Now, a quick surface-level translation might make you think this is just a prayer directed at the physical sun up in the sky, but it is so much more than that. Savitur represents the divine source of all light, all knowledge, and all consciousness. The mantra is basically using the metaphor of light as knowledge, this brilliant radiance that guides the human mind away from the shadows of ignorance. Section 3. Decoding the Sanskrit. Now, what's really interesting about how this is structured is how the first few words map out the entire cosmos. It starts with Om, which represents the universal sound, the ultimate reality. Then we move through the different layers of existence. Pur symbolizes the physical world we live in right now. Bhuva takes us a step deeper into the mental and energetic realms. And finally, Swa signifies the highest spiritual realm. So just in those opening syllables alone, the person chanting is actively aligning themselves with every single level of the universe. Building on that massive cosmic opening, the rest of the phrases deliver the real core message. Tat Savitur Varenyam refers to the revered divine creator whose light sustains literally everything. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi means we meditate upon that divine radiance, the specific radiance that actively burns away ignorance. And finally, Dio Yona Prachodayat, which translates to, may that divine presence inspire and guide our intellect. When you put it all together, the mantra forms this complete, laser-focused meditation on universal consciousness and personal inner awakening. It is, at its heart, a plea for purity of thought. Because it holds this incredible depth, the Gayatri Mantra is famously known as the mother of the Vedas. It represents the absolute essence of Vedic wisdom. And this brilliantly highlights a major shift in ancient spiritual practice. The focus here is on actual psychological and spiritual transformation through knowledge. We aren't just going through the motions of some mere ritual to appease a deity. No, this is a highly practical tool specifically designed to cultivate emotional balance, self-discipline, and deep spiritual awareness. So, how is this practical tool actually used in day-to-day life? Well, traditionally, the practice follows a very specific daily rhythm that is directly tied to the natural world. Practitioners chant the mantra during 3 key transitional points of the day: sunrise, noon, and sunset. And this isn't just random. By practicing at these exact times, you're consciously connecting your own internal rhythm with the external, natural cycles of the day and the physical sun. It constantly reinforces that connection to Savitur, that ultimate source of light. And then there's another fascinating numerical element to all of this, the number 108. Practitioners will actually sit down and repeat the chant exactly 108 times. To keep track without losing their focus, they use a mala, which is a traditional necklace of prayer beads. This repetition is incredibly intentional. It's not just about getting the pronunciation perfectly right, it's about the sincerity of the intention. Repeating those syllables 108 times builds up an immense amount of deep concentration and mindfulness. It's like a workout for your focus. Section 4. The Science of the Chant. Let's see how this builds when we look through a modern lens. Modern researchers have actually spent a lot of time exploring how repetitive chanting physically influences the human brain and body, and the studies are super interesting. They suggest that this practice significantly reduces stress, drastically improves concentration, and physically activates the body's natural relaxation response. So, while science might not be able to put a measurement on the purely spiritual claims of the mantra, it heavily supports the physiological mechanics behind it. The positive effects you feel are a direct result of that focused attention, the slow, rhythmic breathing required to chant, and the discipline of regular practice. Section 5. A universal message. Even though it is deeply, deeply rooted in Hindu tradition, the message of the Gayatri Mantra is fundamentally universal. It serves as this beautiful reminder that true wisdom begins with an open mind, a compassionate heart, and the willingness to seek truth. Whether you approach this as a deeply sacred prayer, a secular meditation practice just to find some focus, or even just as a beautifully preserved piece of ancient poetry, its core requirements are exactly the same for everyone. It just asks us to be receptive and to be compassionate. The source material summarizes this perfectly, stating that the Gayatri Mantra is far more than a collection of ancient Sanskrit words. It is, quote, an invitation to cultivate clarity, wisdom, and inner light. For millennia, it has encouraged humans to stop obsessing over external success and instead seek the highest possible form of knowledge, the kind of wisdom that has the power to transform not just the individuals sitting in meditation, but literally the entirety of the society around them. Its message remains just as relevant today as it was when sage Vishvamitra first realized it all those centuries ago. We all want our minds to be illuminated, right? We all want our actions to reflect the highest good. So I'll leave you with this final thought as we wrap up this explainer.